people, and welcome to this very, very exciting episode of Shine Africa. On today's show, we are talking about something that every African would love to hear. I, in particular, African traditional religion. How many people know that there is something called African traditional religion? How many people believe in it? And do we even study it anywhere around Cameroon? It's something, and why religion and why tradition put together? There are very, very many things that are pregnant with this topic that we are going to be handling today. And just when we come back, I have a very big fish in the house. When we come back, you will know my guest. Welcome back from that break, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very nostalgic episode for me, so don't be surprised if I make mistakes along the way, because I am actually shivering. I'm shivering because of who I am receiving on this show. I am receiving the Synod Clerk of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon in his capacity as a lecturer of African traditional religion. He is not just that, he was my pastor for a very, very long time, and also my lecturer at the Presbyterian Theological Seminary. Can you put your hands together for my guest? You're very, very welcome, Prof. Thank you very much. You're not sitting just yet. I want to, before we go to the kitchen, I want to say I'm very, very grateful and humbled, my team and I, to have you on our set. It's going to be very, very fulfilling because we're talking about something that you're passionate about, and you put that thing in me. That's why you're here today. So you asked us to do watermelon juice.
Sure.
We're going to go to my kitchen where we do the happy juice. Do you have a juicer at home yet?
I do.
Wow, okay. And I know that you are one who can go to the kitchen and do something for yourself.
Well, when you have the kids around, you become lazy. And,
our juice is ready. And as usual on Shine Africa, it is gentleman before lady.
not the other way around.
No, not the other way around. And our guests are kings.
Wow.
What's your favorite color?
Those are things that, like an African, I don't even think too much about.
Oh la la, I'm finished on the show today.
I don't think too much about colors.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I
at
like
least
cool
you...
colors.
Cool colors.
I don't like
cool
shiny colors.
So blue can be an example of a cool color.
Good.
Okay.
And it will match with my dress.
Yes, I think so. And then I get a green for myself.
Cool.
That's very good. You can have your juice.
Thank you.
Before we take leave of you, ladies and gentlemen, remember that a kitchen without a juicer is not alive. A kitchen without a juicer is not alive. Welcome back from the break, ladies and gentlemen. Just before we continue, Reverend, could you have a sip of your juice? How do you like it?
Tastes nice.
Very nice. Very little sugar and also very natural.
Very natural.
Yes. Could you please raise your voice?
Very natural.
And like I told you before we went on that break, we are talking to the Reverend Babila Forchang George, who is the Synod Clerk of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon. He is here in his capacity as lecturer of African traditional religion. I was his student for a very long time at the Presbyterian Theological Seminary in Kumba. And just before we start, I must say that you are very guyish.
Thank you very much for the compliment.
Yeah, I think you look very contemporary, and your shoes in particular. Can somebody pick those shoes for me?
Why are you so particular about my shoe?
The shoes are very, very up to date, and I think I like them.
Thank you.
Now we are talking about African traditional religion. it's something that Africans don't understand. So would like for you to tell us exactly what African traditional religion is. Before you get there, I don't know if you need any more introduction. Maybe you want to talk about yourself a bit before we get back to that place. Who is Reverend Babila Forchang George?
Thank you very much. I think it's an honor for me to be on Shine Africa. As you have already introduced me, I think I can only add that to talk about African traditional religion, the audience should know the background from which we are coming.
Yes.
That I have a master's degree in African Christianity from the University of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. And I've also studied in Ghana at the Kofi Christella Institute of Theology and Culture. And one of the things, the major issues that we discuss is about gospel and culture.
Yes.
How do we blend our culture? How do we use the positive elements of culture to enhance our Christianity?
Okay.
In that case, now we get deeply into the study of African traditional religion because we are all involved in our traditional religion. Mm-hmm. Even those of us who think that it does not exist, we are all embedded in the traditional religion. For instance, my name is Babila. Babila simply means father has come back. That is already part of religion. It means that you were born when either your father or an uncle died, then they say, Babila, father has come back.
Yeah, that should be Mungaka,
Babila, yes,
Bali, from Bali, yes.
From my culture.
Yes.
I mean, in every culture in Cameroon, there is a meaning attached to names, and that is already part of your traditional religion.
Yes, but you also remember that there are some religions that ask you to change your name. Perhaps I should say that when religion just came, or Christianity just came to Africa, they were actually asking people to change these names that you are talking about. Is that something that's still happening?
And that was the ignorance of it at the time. For instance, if you were to change your name and take on the name Mirabel, what is the meaning of Mirabel? It doesn't have any meaning. But whereas you have names like Abimwi, Akongwi, Afangwi, yes, which are very Christian names. Yes. And these days we appreciate such names. We are not interested in people taking, sometimes you get a tongue-twisting English name that you don't even know how to pronounce.
Athanasius.
And you spell it wrongly, and the child is going about with a wrong name. You know, when I was pastoring in Changwe, you were my
yes.
Christian at the time,
yes.
there was a couple that came for child presentation, and their baby's name was Clessy.
Clessy?
Clessy. And I asked, what is the meaning of Clessy? They said, Clessy is a combination of their two English names, Clement and Mercy.
Oh la la.
And I said, but you see, one day somebody will say, I love this name, I must give my baby's name Clessy, without knowing that Clessy means it's related only to a particular family. Oh, that's the kind of thing we're talking about.
Yes. African traditional religion at a time like this, when we have, even in Christianity, we have many different factions. When we're talking religion, we limit ourselves to Christianity as Christians, but of course we know that there is Islam and there are others. Mm-hmm. So we find ourselves in a divide wherein people think that since I have become a Christian, I have to stay away from all African values. I just talked there about the positive values that we should keep. How do we discern them? How do we make the difference?
To discern them, you first of all have to study the religion. And in studying the religion, even though there is what we call continental, I call it continental universals within the religion.
Oh la la, continental universals.
Yes. Let us say it's my coinage.
Okay.
Otherwise, each culture, each tribe, each community has a uniqueness in their practice of religion. But generally, the understanding of God and how he functions in relation to humanity is one across the continent.
Yes.
It cuts across the continent because we have had the experience of studying from various areas of Africa, and the basic understanding of how God deals with humanity is the same.
Yeah.
Africa has an ontology which is anthropocentric. Yes. That is, Africans' understanding of God is human-centered.
Yes.
God is is the creator and the sustainer of his creation. And then after God, you have the spirits. They may be those who were born as spirits, or they may be the spirits of ancestors. People who have died and become
So people are
spirits.
actually very shocked now to have a
Yeah.
very senior pastor talking about believing in ancestors.
Of
We're going
course.
to handle that at some other point.
They should be shocked. But those are the realities, and this is what makes our kind of Christianity very shallow, because people are there in church, they say they are Christians, but they are 100% still or 99% still traditionalists. You always hear people say, we'll begin family meeting, we'll go do contribution. All those things is that at that family meeting, at that country meeting, you are practicing traditional religion, even
Okay.
though you are a Christian.
Wow.
And so a lot of our traditional religion, we carry them into our Christianity. And we get into what I call a crisis of identity.
Crisis of identity.
Yes.
Looks like you have a book like that, except I'm
Yes,
making an
In Search
error.
of
Yes.
Identity
In
and
search
Relevance.
of identity. Yes. Now, does this touch on the attributes of God, the concept of God to the African, or the attributes of God?
Good. Like I was trying to explain about the anthropocentric nature of Africans' understanding of God. After the spirits, the third category is man. Man
Yes.
stands at the center. And man is there, God is there for the purpose of man. The spirits and ancestors are like intermediaries between God and man. Then below man, that is the fourth in the category, animate objects, animate
Okay.
things, like
Okay.
animals and plants.
Okay.
These things exist to serve the needs of man. And then you also have inanimate
Animate things. Like this table?
Yes, especially like mountains, like rivers. You find a mountain or a forest near your village that is an evil forest, or a forest where the gods dwell, and it is sacred, nobody should go there. Those who are around Bakwereland will talk of a Pasamoto, Nyango Namona in the sea. The mountain is held sacred because it is where God dwells, where heavenly beings, spiritual beings dwell. A tree in the compound is not just an ordinary tree. You may have a spirit that is the guardian of this compound,
Oh la
dwelling
la.
under a tree. If you cut that tree, you have rendered that spirit homeless. And then if the spirit moves away to another place, who then protects? Who carries your matters now to God from their compound or from
Oh
the
la la.
community? And perhaps that is why you see that people are so restless in the way because there's an erosion of values, that the rich cultural values that were embedded in our religion, because religion cannot be separated from social life and from the cultural life.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know that this is a very exciting topic for most of us watching at the moment. But when we come back from this break, we are going to give you another side of the story. Let us have our musical break.
Si tu es dépassé dans la vie, mon frère, si tu es dépassé dans la vie, ma soeur, ne baisse pas les bras et ne perds pas espoir en Dieu. Ne baisse pas les bras et ne perds pas espoir en Dieu. C'est Dieu qui assume les lendemains. C'est lui qui assure tes lendemains. C'est Dieu qui assure nos lendemains. Yahweh, tu assures. C'est Dieu qui assure mes lendemains. C'est lui qui assure tes lendemains. C'est Dieu qui assure nos lendemains. Yahweh, tu assures. Quand tu regardes devant, derrière toi, autour de toi, personne pour t'aider. dis pas que tu es maudit. Lorsque la vie te semble difficile, lève la voix et chante cette mélodie. C'est Dieu qui a su mes lendemains, celui qui a su tes lendemains. C'est Dieu qui a su nos lendemains. Yahweh, tu as su. Mes amis, la vie n'est pas facile comme on le pense. Il faut beaucoup travailler chaque jour qui se lève. Gardons toujours espoir en Dieu, car nos vies sont entre ses mains. C'est Dieu qui a su mes lendemains. C'est lui qui a su tes lendemains. Il a su. C'est Dieu qui a su nos lendemains. Yahweh, tu as su. C'est Dieu qui a su tes lendemains. Oh mon Dieu qui a su tes lendemains. C'est Dieu qui a su nos lendemains. Yahweh, tu as su.
Wow, thank you very much, Elisha Emmanuel.
It's all a pleasure to be on the program with you.
Yeah, you're speaking so much English. Why did you decide to speak, to sing in French?
That's the way the inspiration came.
Oh my God. That's a very good and fast one. For how long have you been singing?
I started music just last year.
Oh, so it's less than a year.
More than a year.
More than a year. Is this
2017.
okay? Is this an audio or video?
Audio, same time video.
Okay, so we have it on YouTube.
We have it on YouTube.
Okay, you just sing gospel or you sing some other songs?
And I do bass in gospel.
Purely gospel.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself from? I mean, in 5 years, you have projects that will take you up to 5 years.
Obviously. My plans now is like see myself at the international level. Because when we talk about Cameroonian gospel music, coming to Africa, they talk about gospel music. They talk about Cameroon.
Okay.
Because whatever we are doing, we are representing our culture. We are representing our country. So that's what I have to like.
So are you working on a
aim.
particular song now or an album?
Yeah, now this song just came out last week.
Okay,
so I just dropped it.
Yeah, what was the title of it?
Mes lendemains, which is My Tomorrow.
My Tomorrow. Oh la la! I just got the translation only now. Poor me. We'd like to thank you very much for being part of Shine Africa today.
Thank you very much.
And we hope that as you want to go international, please keep us in mind so that you come back here when you are at that level. Thank you. Give it here, please. Another one here. Thank you very much and see you next time.
It's
Thank you.
a pleasure to be here with you.
Welcome back from that very befitting musical break, and I'm still in the company of my very special guest, the Reverend Babila Forchang George, who has come all the way from Buea, Cameroon to be on Shine Africa today. And we have been talking about African traditional religion, and I think I just diverted my questions after the artist. Were you very comfortable with a gospel song on your show?
Why not?
Okay.
I am interested in African traditional religion while already a pastor.
Okay.
And like I said earlier on, our study of African traditional religion is in a bid to see the positive aspects of the traditional religion which we can use to enhance our Christianity.
So, okay, so you don't have a problem with artists, musicians who just don't sing songs that come from the Bible. I don't want to limit them to the Gospels.
I don't have a problem because if you take the Sweet Mother of Prince Nico,
I know you love it.
That is a gospel music, even if it is not called by that name. I was doing a book launch in Simeon the other day. Apart from inviting gospel artists, I also invited Jackie Bio.
Okay. Yes.
Because she sang a secular song which is religious. I mean, when you talk about the love of mother, is it not gospel? What are you talking about?
It has some moral training. It has a lot of it. So it must not contain a biblical verse. Yes. It must not contain the name Jesus before we know that it's doing something. Yes. Well, you're saying something that I have been saying, but a lot of people don't think we should be having this kind of discussion. A lot of people, when they call me like, why don't you take only gospel artists on your show? Why do you take secular artists on? And I asked one, I think we still have the message on our Facebook page. Mm-hmm. Did I receive a Satanist, an occultic artist on the show? So is that kind of divide. So what would you, when it comes to music, how would you want us to frame music when it comes to African traditional music?
In the past, African traditional music was, it's part of the rich African heritage that we have inherited. And one of the problems we are faced with these days is the kind of immorality that is being projected in songs.
Yeah.
It wasn't heard of in Africa in a traditional setting. I mean, you could have musicians who were social critics, but they were out to sing songs that corrected some of the ills of society. Somebody did something that was bad and they put it in song. But that was to, put like speed breaks for other people to learn from. Today, the difference, people want to sing. Let me take the example, Sonny Okonson. He was a secular musician, a Nigerian musician who sang some of the most immoral songs. And suddenly I would think that either he said, what a great change since I knew the Lord. Mm-hmm. I hope it was a great change indeed.
Wow.
But what we do know also is that people have come to realize that gospel music sells like hotcake these days.
Yes.
And so they divert from traditional music.
So
to
it's not
gospel.
Everyone who sings gospel who is actually
even going to church or has any concern for God.
Oh la la, I think you just made the point. You just made the point. Can we clap for that, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you very much. I'd like us to talk about how Africans worship, how we worship, how should we, African traditional religion, the worship of God.
I think this is where because the time frame that we have for the program is too limited.
Okay.
Now we can talk about worship.
Okay. So we are going to bring you back on the show to talk about worship.
That will be good.
Yes, we're bringing you back on the show to talk about worship. And I think we need somebody to ask a question. We have been listening to you, and I know that there are many people who are so shocked after listening and watching you that they want to ask a question. Can we have somebody, please? It appears we have someone with a question. Please, can you begin with your name?
I'm called Kumfestus Foba.
Yes.
I'm an instrumentalist. I came with Bilashi.
Okay.
Yeah. Reverend, you talked of, I have a worry. You talked of something like spirits or ancestors. I really want to know. I really want to know if they really exist. That is what I want to know.
Oh, thank you very much. I hope we have time to answer it before, so that they get to understanding that.
Thank you very much. Like you say, we can just brush over it, but it's a question that I have answered in a 60-page document already, just about the ancestor. My bachelor degree was actually based on the ancestor.
Can we have a book? Can we have one of it, even a picture that we can have on the program?
The unfortunate thing is that I didn't bring any of my publications.
We're going to get it, that's fine.
I think maybe subsequently. The ancestors, everything is about belief systems. Somebody would say, is it really true that Jesus Christ exists? And if somebody is asking that from another religion, you will not blame the person. So it is right to ask whether the ancestors believe. In the belief system of the Africans, in their religion, the ancestors do exist. The ancestors are there. As long as you die and there's still somebody who can remember you, it can take 200 years. Then you serve the interests of the community.
In theology, we call that, is that the Zamini or Zansa period? The Sasa period.
And then when they cannot remember you anymore, you become an it. You are not addressed again as a person. and now you go into the Germany. Yes.
And maybe we should just add that people we call ancestors are those who were good people while they were living.
Not everybody is an ancestor, even though your great-grandfather is your ancestor, but if he was a bad person, he's not considered and classified among ancestors.
Oh la la.
African belief systems. Yeah.
We are going to continue this discussion when we bring you back on Shine Africa, because it's a very exciting topic, and I know that in 26 minutes we cannot handle it.
That's right.
Yes, it took me 3 years to grasp of it, and in 26 minutes no one can. We're bringing you back on the show to talk about that. It's a very, very difficult period for me now, because you have to ask me a question, and I just fear your questions. I feel like I'm in one of your classrooms now, in one of your classes. Yeah. So what would your question be?
And I'm just wondering whether I had not asked enough questions to you in the past, in the examinations. And not to ask you questions that will be like repetitions from your other programs. I may just ask you, what are you still remembering in the knowledge you gained from African religion?
I said it.
What still remains? Because they say knowledge is what remains after what you learn has been forgotten.
Oh la la.
Yes.
Oh God. Knowledge is what remains after
what you learn has been forgotten.
Has been forgotten.
It means that at the click of the head, you just start talking about it.
This is a very academic question now. So but I think that there is one thing that has not left my mind, is the African saying that where reason ends, faith takes over. That's the one thing that I wrote on all my books in school. And if I have to forget anything in theology, that one stays. Did I answer correctly?
And if you know that where reason ends, faith takes over, then you are on the course of faith. Thank you very much.
Wow. Amen. Finally, I got it. Thank you very much. And we are going to see how you dance. You said your best, your favorite Cameroonian artist should be, who was that?
Eboalotin.
Eboalotin. There were about 3 of them. Eboalotin, and people. We're going to dance to anyone that's danceable. I'm sure that many people wanted the pastor to dance to a gospel sound, but he has already explained to you how the things work. So can we have a DJ on that beat? Wow, ladies and gentlemen. Let us see how many marks the Reverend Pastor has made for himself just dancing here. Is it a 5? No. Is it an 8?
No.
Is it an 8?
No.
That leaves us with a 10. Wow, you just made 10 marks, 10 over 10, and you never gave me 10 in school. Today we are giving you 10 on 10.
Yes, you used to call me Japanese handbrake.
Yeah, exactly. So you are not going to sit anymore. You are going to leave us with your pastoral signature, so that someday somebody will see it and know that you were here on the show. You can actually take it this way if you want.
Sure.
Yes, then you put your name somewhere here. Voila! We got the signature right here. This is it right here. And of course, we are talking about the African continent. And I know that you already know that you do not get into a house in Africa and go out empty-handed. So it is from that very tradition and culture that on Shine Africa we decide to give you this African map so that you can continue to talk about Africa where you go to.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. No, it's not that easy here. Another one. It's here, ladies and gentlemen, that we say a goodbye to you on this episode of Shine Africa. And before we go, here is our watchword. It is from John Beatty, who is my favorite African traditional religion scholar. And he says, Africans are notoriously religious. Africans are notoriously religious. Just before we say a final goodbye to you, I would like to say a very big thank you to Kajazuma Art Gallery and Restaurant in Yaoundé, Bastos, where we are having this show, and to Somatel Hotel in Bemasi for hosting our guests. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's a bye-bye from us to you. Bye-bye. I'd like to say a very big thank you to Kazan.
And just before we say, take it. Kaja Suma. Kaja is Kaja.